For many, cruising brings to mind a slow, relaxing pace. Good food, maybe a few games, and a bit of ballroom dancing. But what if I told you cruising today can also look like this? Cruising has really evolved, and it's had to because you've got a wide variety of ages now who cruise. So you have spectacular shows, so one-of-a-kind onboard experiences. You can even surf or ride the bumper cars at sea. I mean, that is unbelievable. Every ship has its own personality and there's something for everyone. We're going to take a look at these 6 different cruise lines. Now, I'm going to try and not give too much of my opinion, but rather just show you some of the facilities and some of the activities and entertainment that they have on board. And I'll leave it to you guys to decide which cruise line you think suits you the best. MSC Virtuosa is ultra modern in design, and she's massive. This LED screen ceiling here is what greets you when you first board, and throughout the cruise it changes, so it feels different every time you walk down here. And sometimes they put like shows on it. Yeah, it's a really nice area of the ship, this. With a ship this size, there's always something going on. There has to be with the number of passengers. Despite it being a very modern ship, this atrium does feel quite traditional. This area, you often have live music in here. This guy's playing a guitar and singing. Sometimes there's just a pianist in here, which is lovely. And these are the famous Swarovski, however you pronounce it, crystal staircase. They're absolutely beautiful. Over in the Sportsplex area, they've got some arcade style games. A lot of cruises have that, but this has really modern ones, especially this F1 experience. I think that's my nephew Caleb. He's doing quite well. And then this is David, and just as a filming, he's off on the grass. Look at him, and over into the gravel. Apparently it's not as easy as it looks. But yeah, that was really good fun. They really enjoyed that experience. And here's Caleb again doing the VR experience. But it was good for us watching on because we could see on the screen exactly what he was doing. We all had a game of bowls. On a cruise ship, we had a game of bowls. And then these more traditional style games. For those of you though who want to be outside, they've got like a water park area and this climbing frame thing. I don't know what you would call that. Climbing course. Yeah, that was for people of all ages and it really did look good fun. They also had a robot making drinks. As you can see what I put on the screen there, it wasn't part of a drinks package, so there was no way I was paying extra. But I did pay extra for this show. I think it cost about £8 per person and it was unbelievable. It was full of acrobats, jugglers. It was a real quirky show, but absolutely worth it. And then we stumbled across the White Party. Now, we've heard about the famous White Party, and we were watching. Those guys on the left-hand side there are a group of stags. There's about 20 of them. And they just dragged everybody up and got everybody involved. They were all in good spirits. They were all dancing, having a fantastic time. And if you look, the top deck is absolutely packed. There's a group of hens there. They were all in good spirits, having a brilliant time. Everyone was really well behaved. And I was captivated by this couple here. They were adorable. And that lady, she was awesome. She had a glass of red wine in her hand, danced the whole night, and didn't spill a drop. That's experience. So although Ventura launched in 2008, it has a very modern layout. But when you're walking down this prom deck, it feels very traditional indeed. And the bonus, it's a wraparound. At the top of the ship, it does have a sports court, but you are relying on the weather. It also has golf nets. I think this was us on our first day, just walking around the ship. This was the Tamarind Bar. And this was the sail away party. It was supposed to be held on the top deck, but the weather was awful, so they had to bring it inside. But not that many people turned up. Felt sorry for these guys, they really tried. And this was on a sea day, they did some dance lessons, and it always looks really good fun, but there's not a chance I'm going to get David doing this. I was trying to guilt him here, but nah, didn't work. This was one of our favourite venues, the observatory. I love an observatory on a cruise ship. Look at those sweeping windows. And these screens were really cool. They used to have like different images on there. You always have to take a picture of your drinks, don't you? But yeah, we had a great time in here. And this is Havana Bar at the back of a ship. I think this was during the day because it looks really quiet. I'll put a shot in of it in an evening. I think we got some footage when there was a comedian on. So yeah, it looks very different in an evening than it does. It's very orange during the day. I'm sure it feels blue in an evening. And Ventura has a proper theatre. We saw a variety of shows on here. I weren't so keen on these guys. The singing was really good. It's just not my type of music. You know, they were actually very talented. And then there was a lady on that did Jessie J, and we thought we might sneak out, but she was actually really good. As with most, if not all, cruise ships, they usually have quizzes on. So Ventura used to have some regular quizzes in this pub area. They were really good. Having a wine flight in the glass house was one of our favourite pastimes. We are in the Havana. See, I've not gone mad. It is blue in an evening. Thought it was. This evening we were in Havana watching a comedian. He wasn't very good. I felt very, very sorry for him. He was heckled all night and he wasn't sure how to handle it. And I don't think you've been on a cruise ship if there isn't a silent disco. This was actually really well attended. Everyone seemed to love it. And P&O definitely like tribute artists. So this lady was doing Pink. And to be honest, she did a good job of it. And she got everybody up dancing. And most people know Pink's music. So yeah, it was a good night. There was a group of hens there. They seemed to enjoy it. Fred Olsen's Bleta, one of my favourites. It's a classic design with these beautiful teak decks. It feels like travelling in style with a touch of tradition. And because you have fewer guests and spacious decks and stunning routes, it's all about relaxed scenic cruising, just the way it should be. And the beauty of a smaller ship like Bleta, you can get to those tucked away places that the big ships miss. She's a very quirky ship, Bleta. This clock, it really split mine and David's opinion. I thought it was a bit of a monstrosity before I got on board the ship, but during the course of the week, kind of fell in love with it. You would definitely not describe Bleta as understated. For those of you who are used to the bigger ships, you might be surprised to hear that this is actually the main theatre on board. But it's a really beautiful theatre. Comfortable seats, and you get served drinks at your seats, which is always a bonus. There's an upstairs and a downstairs. And they put on some pretty good shows in this theatre. They had a pub which had a few games. And this is like a botanical room. It wasn't used very much on our cruise, just a little bit during the day. I think you can see a couple of heads at the back near the windows where people were just reading books. But it's a beautiful room. And now we're just walking into the room that me and David did use quite a lot, which was the Oriental Tea Room. We often came back here after our day in a cold port. Beautiful. And just to show you something a little bit different, this is their thermal suite with a hot tub and some hot seats. You could hire this whole area out for £25 for a couple. Bargain. And this is the top deck. So you've just had some sports court there, and you've got the traditional deck games. We definitely enjoy this type of thing on traditional cruise ships. Whiskey tasting. And this is one of our favourite venues. We used to finish most of our nights up here in the observatory. We used to watch the karaoke, never really got involved in it, but look at these views, big sweeping windows all the way round. So as you're sailing out, absolutely stunning. They say Fred Olsen has an older demographic. These guys certainly know how to party. Okay, there may be a bit of a theme forming here. So we've done whiskey tasting and now we're doing a martini experience. I prefer martini to whiskey. I just did whiskey for David's sake. But I think he quite enjoyed this. He ended up having quite a few of these martinis. I think you got to choose 4 and you had them in about 40 minutes. But it was good fun. They got people up and involved and they did a few tricks. Yeah, it was a good evening. And in the same venue on a different night, the guys from the theatre came up and performed a jazz night. And now for Ambassador. Now she's an older ship, she was built in 1991, but you can see just from this prom deck alone how she's a very traditional ship. She's absolutely beautiful, and like I always say, I love a prom deck. She has this little active studio on board where they do yoga. There is also a gym on board the ship, but in this area you can play table tennis. When we were on board, they decided to close the pool bar just for a few hours while they painted it. If they do that when you're on board or it closes for any reason, you can get alcoholic drinks from the coffee shop. So Ambassador doesn't have like a traditional style atrium, but it has this area, centre court, where it has coffee shops, bars, and of course the shopping area. And the Purple Turtle was a good place to start the evening. You could either do a quiz in here, or on this evening we were listening to some live music. But in truth, this was our favourite venue to come for pre-drinks. I think it's called the Botanical Room. It was stunning, absolutely beautiful. Plus, they made fantastic cocktails in here. David loved the old fashioned from here, so we often started here because it was right next to the main dining room. And this is something very traditional on cruise ships, a baked Alaska parade. And these are our waiters. They were absolutely brilliant. He wouldn't let me not have a dessert. I blame him. This was actually in the theatre on a sea day, and it was a really good show. It was like a murder mystery type thing, and yeah, they ad-libbed quite a lot because they had audience participation, so it ended up being quite funny. And as the cruise went on, we kept discovering bars. This one was Raffles Bar, and they had a pianist in here one night. So yeah, we just thought we'd come and have a drink in here. It was lovely. And I just thought I'd show a little bit of the theatre in an evening. This was like a musicals type show. They were doing Les Miserables here. They did loads of different musicals. And the standard of the singing on this was actually really, really good. And we're back to the silent disco on a cruise ship. What I liked about this one though, it was being held in the observatory, so it had a very different atmosphere to some of the other ships who tended to do it in like the atrium area. It had a bit more of a party atmosphere up here. When we went on Royal Caribbean's Anthem of the Seas, we didn't do cruise vlogs at the time, so you're actually now just getting a sneak peek at our personal holiday footage. Anthem is part of Royal Caribbean's Quantum class. It's known for things like skydiving, the bumper cars, flow rider, and this, the North Star. You hang off the side of a ship in a capsule while the ship's moving. Pretty amazing. And here's the flow rider. Now me and David didn't bother having a go at this. I thought, no, I'm going to end up on line somewhere, falling over. I wasn't brave enough, but this gentleman put on a show for us. He was brilliant at it. This area was used for a variety of different things, from dance classes to sports, and of course to bumper cars. And the outside decks looked pretty beautiful when they were all lit up in an evening. We watched this show one afternoon. It was We Will Rock You. I think it's been on the West End. I'm not sure if it's been on Broadway, but it's a proper production show. And this was our favourite bar. We came here every single night, Bolero's. It was like a Latin-inspired bar, and yeah, we got our favourite drinks in here, mojitos and caipirinhas. Absolutely loved it in here. So this ship is packed with activities and entertainment from morning until really late at night. And this is just a little glimpse. Now to check out the Regal Princess's prom deck. Love walking to the wake of a ship. But we were a bit saddened when we met this wall here. We couldn't go all the way around, but it was still pretty lovely standing here and looking out over the wake. But this prom deck does get very narrow in places. And then you find places like this, the skywalk. So it's a glass walkway, and it's quite amazing when you're walking on the glass and the ship's moving and you can see the sea underneath. Yeah, it's a lovely feature of the ship. Walking on the glass bridge. So here's the sports court. Looks like they have tennis in here, basketball, probably play football as well. And here they've got people, I don't want to film them, they've got people at the golf nets.
Everybody, let's count down all together. Here we go. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go.
This was a great experience. It's Good Spirits cocktail experience. And this guy here, he has a microphone on, there's a television screen, and it tells you the history of the cocktail and they show you how to make it. And he's very funny, this lad. So yeah, plus you get a gorgeous cocktail at the end. So yeah, really worth it. And Regal has a lovely area called the Enclave, and this was a sea day and me and David had the whole area to ourselves, which was amazing.
I have a suspicion these guys have been doing this every day because they seem to know it.
Just have to talk over this bit and turn the background volume down because I'll get a copyright strike if I don't. But yeah, we were walking past the theatre and we spotted Hairspray and we thought we have to come and watch this, which we did do, and it was brilliant. We really enjoyed this show. It was fab. And in an evening, there was always a band in the piazza, and there was always people dancing, whether it was a rock band or if they were doing ballroom dancing. And to be honest, the ballroom dancers would have a go at doing that to the rock music. They didn't care. It was great to watch. We really enjoyed this bar outside the Princess Live Theatre because all the quiz questions got projected on the bar counter. So if you're a bit like us, you don't necessarily want to get involved, but enjoy doing a quiz and like just between yourself chit chatting to see if you can get the answers, you could do that here. Plus, you got great drinks. I mean, look at that pour of Baileys. That is a proper pour. I know there's a lot of ice in there, but still, that is a nice pour of Baileys.
A cruise ship is never complete without a silent disco. Look at little kid there. Little children enjoying, children down here loving it. All ages. It's great family time, isn't it? Silent disco on a cruise ship. Been a lot going on tonight.
I couldn't film this show, but I wouldn't want to ruin it, to be honest. But yeah, if this is on when you're on the cruise ship, it was really worth coming to see it. Chris Cox, yeah, good show. I just need to talk over this little bit for copyright reasons. But if you get an opportunity to come and see one of these type of shows on a Princess cruise ship, I highly recommend it. The quality of the singing in this show was like West End or Broadway singing. It was absolutely brilliant. Yeah, we had a fantastic evening watching this show. That's it. We've seen the 6 ships. What a whistle-stop tour that was. Obviously, I'm not able to show you everything on each of the ships, but it just gives you a bit of a flavour of what these cruise lines are like. Some of them are loud, they're big, it's a party atmosphere. And others, they're more peaceful. You're going to stroll around the prom deck, read a book. And on some of them, you can do a little bit of both. So, did any of the cruise lines surprise you? Let me know in the comments. We're on Celebrity soon, which is a new cruise line for us, so we're really excited. So please, don't forget to hit subscribe, and we can't wait to see you on our future cruise vlogs.